Hello everyone, this is Sherif and you're watching or listening to Sherif Sociology Spotlight, where we talk about life, society, and about ourselves. Today's episode is about the end of the world. The story dates to the year 1954. It took place in Illinois in the United States, where a lady named Dorothy Martin claimed that she was contacted from outer space by creatures from planet Clarion. Dorothy was known to have an interest in the supernatural powers. She used to attend conferences on UFOs, on flying saucers, and she had this genuine interest in being so curious about the cosmos. Dorothy mentioned that these guys from Planet Clarion contacted her to tell her that the end of the world was going to take place on the 21st of December, 1954. They informed her that they chose her in order to tell or deliver this message to as many people as possible on the planet. So she started to talk to her acquaintances, her friends, her neighbors about this whole story about the end of the world. One of those acquaintances then was a university professor. His name was Charles Lughead. Dr. Lughead believed very much in her story, and he helped Dorothy create a group of believers, people who believe in this prophecy and in the end of the world, and they were called the Seekers. They used to have regular meetings, sometimes at Dr. Lughead's house and sometimes at Dorothy's house. They used to get together, talk about the end of the world, try to establish contact with the guys from Planet Clarion, and the group started to get bigger and bigger. At a point of time, Dorothy informed the Seekers that they have to start seriously preparing for the end of the world. The members of the Seekers group started to prepare for the end of the world. Some of them left their families, some of them sold their properties, some of them left their jobs. They left everything, and they started to prepare for the end. Dorothy told them that on a certain day, all of them have to gather in the backyard of her house, whereby those guys from Planet Clarion will come in a flying saucer to take them away somewhere in outer space until the mess on planet Earth is over. Then they bring them back to the planet. That was the plan. The Seekers followed the instructions and they went to Dorothy's house on the date, on the agreed date that she told them about. They waited. There was a lot of tension, a lot of stress. The guys were anxious, waiting for the right moment. All the eyes were looking at the clock, and the time has come, but the guys from Planet Clarion have not. No one came to take them. So what happened to Dorothy and the Seekers when the prophecy was not fulfilled? What was their reaction when what they expected and what they believed in did not actually take place? The next day, Dorothy made a statement in the media mentioning that there was another contact that was established with the guys from Planet Clarion, whereby they told her that because she followed the instructions, because the Seekers followed the instructions, they saved the planet. The end of the world was put on hold simply because these guys were committed and they followed the instructions of Planet Clarion. That was the justification that Dorothy made in her statement. It was much better and much easier for Dorothy and the Seekers to come up with such a justification than to admit that they gave up everything else in their lives for nothing. How can this be explained from the social psychology perspective? At that time, there was a very famous social psychologist called Dr. Leon Festinger. What Dorothy and the Seekers group did not know was that Dr. Festinger hired two of his young students to pretend that they are believers and become part of the Seekers group so that they can become insiders who can observe and analyze the behavior of the group when the end of the world does not take place. Dr. Festinger explains what happened, especially after the media statement that Dorothy made. He explained all of this within the context of his theory of cognitive dissonance. The cognitive dissonance theory indicates that there is an inconsistency that is created when you believe in something very strongly, but what you see in reality or what you do by yourself is completely the opposite or different from what you're expecting. This inconsistency causes a level of uncomfort that the brain feels, and the brain has to do something in order to justify what happened. And this is exactly what Dorothy did with the statement that she made, justifying what happened when the prophecy was not fulfilled and when the end of the world did not take place. Dr. Festinger explains that when you are faced with cognitive dissonance, you have a couple of options. One of them is either to change your behavior or your action to match your values and beliefs, or to change your values and beliefs to match your behavior. Otherwise, you will keep having this uncomfortable feeling that your brain is going to feel all the time. It's a powerful tool to understand how the brain works so that you can take the right decisions for your life. One example of cognitive dissonance is being in a toxic relationship, for example. In case your partner is humiliating you or treating you so badly every day, and then one time suddenly this partner brings you a flower or makes a nice gesture, then your mind tells you, the partner is in love with me, and you forget about all the humiliation and everything only because of this small gesture. You used it as a justification to justify the relationship to yourself, and this might result in that you remain in the wrong relationship. Let's look at the workplace. Cognitive dissonance can explain a situation whereby someone is refraining from taking or receiving any kind of feedback from peers or managers because of the fear that this feedback might not be consistent with how they feel about themselves. And this is a mistake because it doesn't help this person who refrains from getting the feedback from knowing the development areas and the gaps that he or she need to work on. Another example is sometimes if you feel bad about yourself, if you dig into this, it is very possible that the reason is you did something that does not match your values and beliefs. And as Dr. Festinger said, one of the solutions is you have to change what you're doing. You have to change your behavior or actions to match your own beliefs, or you change your beliefs to match your action. What would you do if your values and beliefs are put into a real test? What will you do if you find out that what you believed in all your life does not seem to be right when it comes to reality? What happens if you find out that what you're doing does not really match what you learned throughout your life and what you believe in? You're doing something against your own convictions. These are the questions that we put under the spotlight for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Looking forward to seeing you in other episodes in the future. Thank you very much for watching or listening.